So many people are asking themselves right now, why is everything happening at once? Did I cause this? Am I misaligned? Why can't I seem to get my footing? And they are not asking because they are weak. They are not asking because there's anything to fix. They are asking because something real is happening right now in their lives. And if you have been feeling this way, I want you to know right at the start, you are not alone in this. You are not broken. You do not need fixing. There's something really beautiful about being imperfect on this path, this human journey. And so, if you are feeling like you are failing at life, if you are feeling like you might be out of alignment, or you are moving in a direction that you know is not leaning toward your path, your purpose, your higher consciousness, I just want you to know right now that what you are experiencing is a very recognizable human pattern, and that is what we are going to be talking about today. So welcome, beautiful souls, to Infinite You. I'm Dr. Sherry, spiritual psychologist, multidimensional mindset mentor, soul-led success coach, and intuitive empowerment guide, and I can help you really lean into alignment, to self-awareness, to expanding consciousness, so your body, mind, and soul at 3D, 4D, 5D, your conscious mind, subconscious mind, superconscious mind are all aligned in a beautiful way, so you can definitely feel better, feel like you're in flow, and attract more of what you want, more of what you know that your soul came here for. So this space really is not about, it's definitely about moving past victimhood. It is definitely not about victimhood. It is all about becoming wherever you are on your personal journey toward consciousness. And why does it matter? Because I think it feels really good. I think it allows us to know ourselves better, attract more of what we want, and really create a life that is purpose-filled, meaningful, and definitely giving you that feeling of, hell yes, I've got this, even when life is tough, even when there are challenges, so you can feel way more resilient, way more in control, not in a mental way, but in that beautiful, faithful, connected way, because we are all eternal. We are all connected. And so welcome, welcome. Let's dive right into it. There are moments in life when everything seems to converge at once. Decision-making, responsibilities, added responsibilities, over heightened emotions, old threads and old programming that definitely resurfaces when you thought they were already handled. And so it can feel disorienting. It can feel like you're losing control, like you're trying to stand still while the ground underneath you just keeps shifting. And what makes these moments hardest isn't always what's happening externally. It is the meaning that we attach to them, right? So I'm getting back right into mindset in a really cool way. It is all about perception. Because in 4D, your mind starts quietly asking, why now? What did I miss? What am I doing wrong? Why is this happening? And the thing about it is that you don't even have to be in that victimhood archetype mode to be asking yourself that question when life challenges can begin to converge at once and overwhelm you. And so the impetus for making this video is that I actually had that kind of week myself, right? I don't want to be dramatic. It was not full on crisis mode, but it was full. It was full of, extra responsibilities, paperwork, the bureaucracy, someone that I loved, recently crossing over, my own personal journey with whatever I have going on. It was just the kind of week where responsibilities were stacking and I could feel the weight of them. I could feel a lot of different emotions bubbling up, and there was for sure a lot moving at once, internally, externally, and the kind of fullness where even simple things take a bit more energy than usual, like my new little kitten Roo that I found on the side of the road. So she was kind of part of like that layering of what the heck was going on with me, in that space of overwhelm. And so what I've learned both personally and professionally over many, many years on my own evolving journey is that these moments do not respond well to overanalysis. They definitely, and I really want you to hear that these moments really ask for us to have presence before explanation, to invite in stillness before we think, analyze, and definitely take action. We've all been taught, especially in personal growth and in spiritual spaces, that alignment should look like ease. That once that you've been on that path of doing the work, as we say, that things should just smooth out, flow effortlessly, make sense way more quickly. But that is not actually how growth works. Alignment does not move complexity. And when I talk about alignment, I'm going to say this very briefly. I probably will make another video about this later this week. And I've talked about it before. When I'm talking about alignment, I'm talking about the truth of your soul, the frequency of your soul, what is happening at that higher level that is completely eternal and connected always, always, always to God's mind. That is the truth of who you are, your soul in this lifetime. And this is what I call 5D. I know that there are other ways to talk about it, but for the purposes of this video and how I teach this, 5D is that super conscious mind, that soulful part of who you are, your inner essence, your truth with a capital T, connected completely to God's mind. And in 4D, in our subconscious mind, we are definitely programmed. I've made many videos about being programmed, but our subconscious mind is where we learn a lot of things, whether they are true for us or not. And alignment really is, how do you construct your identity, the programs you want, the stories you want, the paradigms you want that reflect who you are, the truth of who you are at the soul level. So I'm really connecting subconscious mind, beliefs, thoughts, patterns, programming in a way that is much more empowering to you and much more reflective of your truth and your authenticity. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. We are human. It is not about that. It's just really about being intentional a little bit at a time to get closer and closer to your truth, because your beliefs and the conversations you have going on within will bubble up into your conscious mind, into 3D, into your body, and definitely create your physical reality. So that is really what I'm talking about. And so going back to alignment, this intentional journey of trying to lean into who you are at the soul level, what beliefs and programs deeply resonate with you and your truth. And then I guess the other big question is the why. The why is because it feels good, because it is way more authentic, it is way more attractive. You will remember your external world is a metaphor for what the heck is going on inside of you, right? So just think of it that way, right? Alignment is really about feeling good, being in flow, having more resilience, creating wisdom, understanding your conscious path, your evolutionary path as a human being and spiritual being this time around, right? So alignment doesn't remove complexity. It is definitely a journey. It is not about perfection. But the thing about alignment, with all that feel-good energy and that flow, even though it doesn't preempt us from experiencing life challenges, alignment definitely changes the way and how you move through those challenges, because life intensifies, not because something has gone wrong, but because something really is beginning to reorganize. And so right? I talk about multidimensional mindset. It is conscious, subconscious, and superconscious. And then, of course, right, we have the bigger picture of soul, the bigger picture of God's mind, the bigger picture of God's purpose, and the bigger picture of faith. So this is really about faith and energy and spirituality and psychology and everything that makes you who you are in body, mind, and soul. And here's something important that I want to say very clearly in terms of like manifesting your life. And I want to go back just for 1 second and say this. I had such a weird week of things happening, right? Bigger things compounding and overwhelm and circumstances. And I just got to this existential point where I was like, oh my God, like I teach all about co-creating. I teach all about manifesting and the law of attraction, you know, in terms of what I just talked about with psychology and mindset, and energy and God's mind and faith, like the bigger picture of the complexity, the multidimensional nature of what makes us who we are, right, by our human design. And so I could not help but ask myself, what the heck is going on? Like, I know I'm co-creating my reality, you know, and then like family stuff came in and like past stuff came in and old programming stuff came in, and it was just kind of one thing after another, like a waterfall. That's why I really wanted to make this video today. And I really do. Again, I'm repeating myself, but I want to say this very clearly. You do absolutely, unequivocally influence and create your reality. You co-create your reality with source energy, with God, with God's mind, with the universe, whatever feels good for you. But remember, you are not micromanaging the universe. You are not micromanaging God's plan. It is impossible, right? We are not, yes, we can create in the quantum field. Yes, we can turn thoughts into things, absolutely. But there's this other little twist of fate, so to speak, right? I actually wrote a book called Twist of Fate many years ago, but that is definitely another story. Remember, as you are feeling weighted down by circumstances, by why me, what the heck is going on, blah, blah, blah. Why is this all happening? When it, you know, the old saying is, oh, when it rains, it pours, right? There's a reason, there's wisdom in that saying, that true observation of how we humans can feel inundated. And I want to remind you that other people have their own timelines that intersect with yours. Some are relational, some are collective, some are moments that are an initiation or a threshold that does not ask for any kind of control over the situation, but for you to become aware. And when you forget this, you will turn intensity inward and start to assume blame. Like, why the heck would I be creating this right now? And remember that self-blame blocks clarity. So it's all connected, right? That's really what I'm getting at. It is circular. Nothing is linear. It is concentric. Everything is kind of really happening at once. And then on top of it, right, there's this, you know, and I did ask this week because I've got a lot of Gemini energy in me, right? And I know this may be woo-woo for some of you, like in terms of the astrological part of it, but I've got a lot of Gemini and Virgo energy in me, which means that I have 7 placements in my chart that are all ruled by the planet Mercury. And last week, Mercury went direct, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be great. I'm going to come out of my shell and things are going to be like smooth sailing energetically. You know what? And I got the exact opposite week. So, you know, people do ask, is this astrological? Is this energetic? And for me, I like to frame it this way. Whether you are, you know, super tuned into astrology or you are aware of, you know, when planets are in retrograde and when they go direct and all that good astrological stuff. Remember too that astrology does not cause events. It just mirrors pressure points, kind of like weather. A storm doesn't mean that nature is broken, obviously, and an intense season definitely in the moment does not mean you are. Sometimes the sky and astrology is just reflecting the moment that we are already in. And I really want to be emphatic about this. When life gets loud and when it looks like this, clarity and stillness rarely arrive through effort. It is absolutely the only thing I could do this week was breathe. And we're in December right now and heading toward Christmas, and I finally decided I'm going to call it a day, and I am going to just breathe and decorate my Christmas tree. I just needed a moment. So remember, invite in stillness, invite in silence, because it is really the pauses between your thoughts. I believe the energy of where God really lives, right? That stillness is really universal wisdom and your eternal soul just asking for a moment. It is in these moments where nothing is solved, but sometimes you can really invite in what really needs to come through, the softness, to feel your body relax, to just take your mind off the illusion of this three-dimensional reality. We are eternal beings. We always will go home again and again and again. And so with all the noise and all of the illusion and all of this physical reality, you are still a wise, powerful, eternal being. And remember, in that stillness, God does not always shout instructions. Most often, you will notice a gentle sense of direction, a whisper, not a 10-step plan, but a knowing, a nudge, a sense of what's next or what needs tending first. Meaning replaces chaos, not when everything makes sense, but when we stop arguing with the moment that we are in. When we stop arguing, stop resisting the moment that we are in. So instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Or what am I doing wrong? I want to offer you a different question. What capacity is being activated right now? What is being activated in me? What is God asking me to return to? What is trying to emerge that couldn't before because the noise in my mind was just too great? Because overwhelm doesn't mean that you lack capacity. Most often, it means your capacity is being used faster than your soulful integration, body, mind, and soul is actually happening. And that is not a failure. That is definitely information. If life feels like too much right now, please do not label it as misalignment. It may be a cue to just listen a little more, invite in a little stillness, and remember that you may be standing at a threshold on your own journey. And thresholds are rarely quiet, but they for sure are meaningful. At the very least, they will call you back into your own sense of self, into your own wisdom, your own inner knowing, your next soulful nudge, your next direction. You are so powerful. You are always tuned in. Remember, your body is so connected in 3D to 5D at the soul level. Your body is a beautiful ball of energy holding all of the wisdom that you can ever imagine. So tune into your body. How are you feeling? How are you responding? What do you need? What do you need to get back to your vibrational set point? What feels really good to you in terms of alignment, gratitude, ease, flow, stillness, getting out of the noise of your mind and just listening to the whispers. And so if this video and this message resonated with you, please go ahead, hit subscribe, hit like, definitely comment. Where are you on your journey? And, check out my other videos too. I just made a really cool video about this up-leveling of emotional intelligence that could absolutely help you in terms of identity, awareness, and alignment, and how it really does shape how we experience ourselves, how we experience life, and our relationships. And I will put that link to this video. And for sure, I will put links in the description box below to join my free newsletter, join my amazing Infinite You membership in the school platform. You get 7 days for free. It's a trial offer. I would love to see you in there. And I'll put a couple of other links too, like maybe my free webinar on recoding your reality, et cetera, et cetera. So I want you to know you can enjoy this beautiful ride and this thing called life, and remember that you don't need fixing. It is all about remembering who you are. It is all about returning to who you are at the soul level. But for sure, I would love for you to connect with me so you can go a little bit deeper. Oh, and then I'll put in a link in the description box for, a quantum clarity session with me as well, if you would like to connect with me one-on-one. So remember, you are not behind. You are not broken. Sometimes life is throwing us twists and turns for us to see the contrast, reveal our teachers, reveal our expansion, expand our consciousness in general. You are just becoming. And it is definitely not about perfection. So that means that it is a process, not to be rushed. Enjoy the moment, enjoy the day. And when you are feeling overwhelmed, just take a moment and breathe. And I will see you next time. Thank you so much, beautiful souls, for being here. Namaste.